All right, good afternoon, everybody. Glad you were able to make it in with this unseasonal, unpleasant weather. It's 4 o'clock. I'd like to get the meeting started now. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order. And what we have today is one person short of a quorum. So unless we get lucky with an individual to come in the next moment or so, we'll have to declare this particular meeting for informational purposes only. But we could go through our amenity reports and everything, but there will be no official notes of record, no meeting minutes, other than that quorum was not reached. So if that's okay with everybody, we could proceed then with our normal course of business and look at the amenity reports, because I see that there are no visitors here that have braved the weather either. Okay. Should be a pretty quick meeting then. Let's go through the amenities. And the first up would be the Branchwood Complex from Debbie.
The trail took kind of a couple hits. There was junk on the trail. I don't know if someone dumped the stuff. There was some pipes and different things. We couldn't quite figure out. Well, big pipe. I mean, it was one. But Jessica went and got it all picked up and stuff. I don't know if they were dumped. I don't know. Anyway, but the rest of the trail is fine. And every time I've gone to Branchwood, there are new people there, and I ask everybody to make sure they vote. Not how to vote, but everybody to vote. And everybody has said they had voted, so they were very positive, and they love the facility. And the main thing is the chair yoga is really full. I mean, it really is. I don't know if there'll ever be a need for a second one. And obviously the swimming pool is packed in the morning. I don't know how many more people they can pack into that pool, but they sure like that class. So anyway,
Great.
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Ken is not here, so we'll pass on the Tyree Park, RV storage. We'll pass on that for today. And let's just jump right over to Loch Lomond from Jan.
All right. Loch Lomond, I went down there, and people are happy with the rotation. That was a great solution to the problem caused by the flooding. Everybody seems to like that. If you're not familiar with it, it was posted, I think, was it Facebook?
Yeah,
Rick?
yeah.
And that seems to work for the small dog and the large dog owners. There is still a lot of damage down there, but they're getting it cleaned up. It looks a lot better than it did at last month's meeting. And further on down, the restrooms are clean, soap and towels are well stocked, the grounds are groomed, and the pavilion's clean, and everything is all well picked up. And you might want to check. I went by last night and it was dark and the flag isn't lighted. And I know that the electricity probably took a hit in all of that rain too, but the flag doesn't have a light on it, and I'm
I'm not sure, but it could be a function of the season and the time change.
Okay.
Whether it's coming
Okay.
on at the right time or not, I'll check into that.
Okay, it was after the Green Bay game. That's all I can tell you, what time-wise.
Okay.
Okay. But other than that, our maintenance guys keep that place looking top notch. So.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Jan. So we've got, we'll skip over the RV park here, and we'll skip over, no, we'll go right to Tanyard Creek because Steve is here.
All right. So Tanyard Creek has been impacted again by some of the more recent rains, considerable erosion on some trails, making them more difficult to navigate. One large tree still down across the path on the east end. I've seen it, I've crossed under it. Takes a little nerve to go under it. It's a bit of a mousetrap, if you will. So I definitely think there's a safety factor involved in addressing this one. The only way to pass the trail is to go under the trunk. and it's supported by a single branch. At Tenure, the bathrooms are open and in very good condition. The swinging bridge on the north side foundation, it tilted an inch or two toward the creek. I don't know, I mentioned this last time, I don't know if it's been looked at from a structural or a safety point of view beyond. The volunteer team has looked at it, and they're doing the best that they can, but I think in addition to the laymen that are kind of working the area as best they can, there ought to be some professional consideration of the swinging bridge as well. The waterfall viewing area, same thing, it's being undercut when these real heavy rains come. It's getting more and more undercut. The volunteer team has done some additional fortification of the viewing area, but again, I believe some professional looking at that from a safety and a structural point of view is appropriate at this time. Spoke with Randy Ham today. He's the leader of the volunteers at Tanyard Creek. He's advised that the volunteer team will suspend their weekly operations for the winter, as apparently is their practice in the past. So they're not going to be out there much anymore. What it is today, as far as the volunteers go, that's the way it's going to be for a while. So I think some of those trails will need work. Perhaps it waits till spring for some of that to be addressed. It's really rough where some of the water has done that erosion. Over at the Avalon Beach, I don't have as much to say about that. Those bathrooms are locked now. All in all, I would say Avalon Beach, looks pretty good, all things considered. Obviously, the sand's going to be refreshed at some point before it reopens. But given everything that we've been through, I think Lake Avalon looks pretty good, at least to the layman's eye. I don't know what lies beneath that can't be seen from walking about there, but it all in all looks good given the rough weather that we've had.
Yeah, Mother Nature sure has been rough on us lately,
Really
but great detail in that report. Really appreciate all that information here, and hopefully we'll get a break so we could get it back into shape. Okay. Next up would be the Medfield Complex and the London Park, and that's my area here. So over at Medfield, everything is looking good there, except for the playground has some ruts from erosion as well, and it looks like it might be a little bit of a tripping hazard forming up there, so we should take a look at that. Bathrooms, restrooms are good, and the rest of the facility and the complex are really good at Medfield. It's looking good. A nice autumn day yesterday. So one other little thing I noticed, maybe it was a Halloween prank, but there's a very large fat pine between the pickleball courts and the pool, and somebody has placed orange traffic cones in that tree for safekeeping. So might be able to pull those down at some point. Or leave them up for Christmas, but there's a couple of orange cones up there. So that's Medfield for us. And London Park, that park's looking great. There's really nothing to say about it. The restrooms were in good shape, and it's a fine looking park right now. Things are looking good. Okay, so that's our amenity reports for this afternoon. We could move on to the other current business, which includes a readout on the November meet and greet. So any information on that?
It was last Saturday, and half the room in here was there.
Okay.
Thank you very much for all being there. It was absolutely, to me, it was the most successful out of all of them. We had 1.5 tables empty in the Vista room. And it really worked well. Steve pitched in and was checking people in, and Judy was, everybody, Tom was there, Ruth and Jerry, but it was wonderful. And every state, it was just incredible. New Jersey, North Carolina, California, Texas. I would say there was probably 20 people that raised their hands had not heard of Bella Vista 3 years prior. Well, it was a lot. And was it? And Judy, you took that information, right?
I took as much as I could get, but I do think that we should brainstorm a little bit on a better way of doing that. I've got some ideas.
Okay.
I've been thinking about for the next one, because I think we're losing some valuable information, primarily because people don't want to hang around afterwards and talk to one person,
Yes.
you know, and then one person comes up and talks to you and they kind of monopolize it. So I think, you know, I kind of did by the spur of the moment, I passed that sheet around, but it was the spur of the moment. So I have some ideas.
Maybe we do a survey monkey that, maybe we can develop one right now, send it out, because you have all the email
I have
addresses.
all the emails of everybody who's attended.
I think we could create
Yeah,
a
I
survey
think
monkey and get
survey
that
mon-
information, and that way they don't have to wait, and we could go even backwards. We could go backwards 1 or 2 years.
Oh,
and just
absolutely,
have
2017 is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, another idea might be to streamline, because if we have that big of a crowd again at the Vista Room, then I think there might be a better way we can make the traffic
Yes,
flow. So we
yes.
could kind of work on that some, and even collecting information. You know, instead of having people sign up at the table, you could put cards, you know, for them to fill out that would give a little bit more specific or a
Oh.
little deeper, you know, run
Yeah.
into the information. Put those at the table. You know, that would give the people that are at the sign-in table an opportunity to mix and mingle with the folks that are there. You know, make sure
Sure.
they get them signed up and.
Well, Judy, why don't you and I get together?
Yeah.
Because I would love ideas. One of the things too that even Steve said, we normally would pass the microphone around and ask everyone to introduce themselves. We just didn't, there's too many people. It's gotten beyond that. And I think what we did was we had everyone raise their hands from Minnesota, Texas, California, you know, and they called out their state, and that worked perfectly. That worked great. And I felt that it was enough that people kind of teamed up together. So let's you and I get together, and hey, we're open for everything. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, it's just as it evolves, you know, you can just use each experience to try and make it a little bit
Yeah.
better. And
well, and the room works great. I think
Yeah.
the room works great, and the coffee was ready, everything. Scott did a great job,
yeah,
so,
yeah, so
good,
yay.
good.
Okay, thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
a nice program. It sounds like it's working really
Yeah,
fine,
it
so
is.
good work on that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Next item up on the agenda is new business, and it's a line item about the proposed archery range, and that's a subcommittee with myself and Deb on it. And the intent for this line item today was basically just to get a status, a feel for where we're at with this, so we could communicate back to the community who's been interested in this so much. So a couple months ago, we looked at a proposed site near the gun range, and we also contemplated the line item for 2020 budget. So John, if there's an update on that area for us, we'd appreciate it.
Let me jump in on behalf of John, if that's okay. We're still going through the budget process. The board had a meeting last week. It was a productive meeting. We have another meeting tomorrow. So I wouldn't want to comment just yet until Thursday. So this Thursday, we present the budget to the community. At that time, we'll know what's in and what's out.
Okay, understood.
With that being said, I had a meeting last week, unrelated to the archery range. It had to do, it was unrelated to that. But John Cooper was there. He asked me about, because remember, the site what we're looking at would require us to get a lease through Cooper, and he is very open-minded to that. I just said, look, I need to finish the budget, get the budget approved by the board before we have a conversation. But he's open-minded to such a lease, so that's where we're at. As of now, we'll know a lot more this Thursday.
Okay, that's just the update we were looking for. So basically, the budget is still under consideration, and then the land is potentially available should we get the budget.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and
great.
Chris and I talked, one of the main things is that a lot of the people don't live in Bella Vista. So I just wanted to kind of communicate the teachers and that type of thing. So that would be great. That would be great.
You know, with this information, perhaps maybe we should hold off another week or so.
Oh,
Since we
absolutely,
could,
I would.
we would get more meat on the bone
Yeah,
to deliver.
I would.
Don't forget that, so we're presenting to the community on Thursday, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the final, because the board may receive input at the budget meeting, the community budget meeting, and further adjustments may be made. So until the budget is approved on the 21st, that's really when it's final, what's in, what's officially in, what's officially out.
Okay.
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 I think we could wait a couple more weeks. Deb?
Yep, oh, I would,
Yeah.
As much information as we can give them, but I just don't want to get their hopes up.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that John is very open-minded.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Good, thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, while we're on that, we could wrap up that portion of the meeting here and go to the staff reports, for which you're the first individual up.
There we go. So I wanted to, Jan brought this up at the very beginning of the meeting, before the meeting started, but we had the mega member appreciation event. We sold out with 500 tickets. It went very, very well. The biggest thing that they were nervous about in selling 500 tickets between the two locations, they were concerned that 400 people would show up at one place and 100 would show up at another. As it turned out, it was about 250 and 250, so it worked very
Nice.
well. Not a lot of people made the trip between the two. A couple did, but most of the people came and camped out and stayed. And with the with the seating and everything, that makes total sense. If you get there late, you're not going to get a seat. So very good event. We'll continue to have those going forward in the future. I don't know if we'll do the two events. We may go back to just one. We really haven't decided. But definitely that type of event we will continue to have.
Tom, can I ask a question? What is the purpose? I mean, this is a lost leader, obviously. We're not making money on this. The
Our
POA
goal is to, by and large, break even. We get close to break even.
Okay.
It's really an event to show our appreciation for the membership.
Okay.
To get them out there, out to the locations. In many cases, I'm amazed at the number of people that will go out to Lake Point and they've never been there.
Never been there.
And so this allows them to see what Lake Point is and what we have to offer also at BV. And it allows our chef to clear out the freezer, which is important. The food was great. If we can get break even or close to it, I think it makes a lot of sense.
That's great.
Regarding the vote, for the assessment vote, the results will be revealed next week on the 19th. We are at 48.8% of reaching quorum. So my guess, and this is a total guess, is that we will go over the quorum threshold of 50% probably in the next couple days.
Good.
I mentioned earlier that we have the budget presentation to the community later on this week, Thursday, 6 p.m. at Reardon Hall. We're hoping that we'll have more than the 5 people that attended last year. Hoping we'll get more than that, but we'll see. We'll be there and we will present at 100% regardless of the 5 people or the 500. Well, let's hope not 500.
You're
Sounds
live
good.
streaming that, right?
We will live stream, yes.
Okay.
We will live stream. And then the dog park, a follow-up, we had that smaller rainstorm after the dog park was blown out. And you can see by losing those trees at the bend in the creek that we absolutely can't relocate. We have to relocate the dog park. And really, I'm concerned about the larger dog park and portions of the ball field also, because you don't have those barrier trees anymore. And it's just coming straight, it's almost a straight line from the spillway to the ball field. And you're asking all that water to make a right-hand turn, and it's just not wanting to do that. So a little bit concerned about those two locations, and we'll see. We've included some work, some funds in the budget for the dog park to relocate it, but only in the past budget, not in the failed budget. The failed budget is going to be so tight, we can include that in there. So it has not yet been approved by the board, but, you know, with a failed budget, there's not going to be any room, any wiggle room.
I am in charge of the weenie dog races next year on October
Congratulations.
3rd, which is kind of an important venue for us. Would that still be a viable venue?
You use
or-
the dog field, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the baseball field.
yeah, the baseball field.
I don't see a problem with that unless
Okay.
we get another hammering
Okay,
event. But I would say that the ball field will continue to be able to use. I'm just getting concerned that it's eroding into
oh,
that
yeah,
area.
yeah,
So
okay.
we definitely have some high ground over there. We may have to start relocating some things. So, you
I
know,
have a question, Tom.
Let me finish up.
I'm sorry.
Let me mention
I'm
one more
sorry.
thing.
Sure.
You know, Mike Taggart, who works in our maintenance construction division, he's been here for 35 years. He's never seen in his 35 years the volume of water that came off of Loch Lomond and that spillway. And the storm that followed a couple weeks later, 10 days later, was not that bad, but the amount of, you know, because of losing those barrier trees, it is a concern. So,
My question, we've talked a lot as a committee and with the members of the maintenance staff and with Tom too, about a dog park on the east side. And now we're faced with dog parks on both sides that we need to find a solution for. And this is totally out of lack of knowledge, but would the Trafalgar Fire site ever be a viable place for a dog park on the east side? Just out of my curiosity.
well, first of all, the ADEQ will not let us really, the only thing we can do out at the Trafalgar site for the next several years is grow grass. And that is it. We received indications from the Walton Family Foundation that they would be willing to donate trees to put at that location, and they said absolutely, you know, ADEQ, Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality, said no, you can grow grass there and that's it. Also, I don't think the site would work. It's pretty steep and it's flat and then it just goes straight down. I don't think the site would work for that. I could be wrong, but that would be long-term. You know, I think that we need to also keep in mind that thinking optimistically that the assessment increase is passed, I just need to make sure, and this is one of the messages that is in the Thursday budget meeting, is the past does not cure our financial problems in 1 year. It's going to be a gradual thing. You can't recover in a single year from a $4 million hit. You know, it's going to take time. So we can't just all of a sudden go, hey, let's spend money here and here. It doesn't work. And that's one of the first slides in my presentation is delivering that message. It makes us much better financially, but it does not solve all the problems in a single year. That was it?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tom. Rick, we can come over to you.
You want to hit the gun range and then we'll take it?
No, I'll start off with the gun range. Classes are starting to slow down, which we kind of expect for the winter. We are going to carry our classes at least into January this year and hopefully kind of avoid the spring rush that we had last year. So if anybody's going to brave out the winter with us, they'll be able to take a class. October was very busy at both gun ranges, as it usually is. Sales were up just ever so slightly from last year, and last year was an extremely good month, or extremely good October, so that was great. And kind of by surprise, we did pick up a new chute for the trap and skeet range in October. And the person that, or the organization that put on that chute has already planned. It was the first time they had used our range. They've already planned on doing it again next year. They set up their date on the day of. So we're excited about that, and that's all that's going on over at the gun range.
So, in lakes and parks, the Lake Ann drawdown got started today. Don't know how long it's going to take for us to really make up any ground because we've got all this incoming water that we're still dealing with, and we only have two 12-inch pipes draining the lake. I was lucky enough to get with the Trailblazers in time to have them put in a little bit of a bridge that goes over where the water's coming out. It would have prevented or would have blocked off part of that trail, but they put this thing in like 3 days, and they still need to add some boards to the side. But I'll pass around this picture to show what they did, and we're real happy with that. So we opened the valves today at about 50% capacity. It's throwing a lot of water up on that bridge, and we didn't want it to ice up. I mean, I don't expect a lot of people to be out there riding today anyway, but as soon as the weather gets up above freezing, we'll open it up a bit more, and hopefully we can get ahead of the water that's coming into the lake and get it down by our December the 5th deadline. We know we're going to be pretty, it's going to be pretty hard to keep that deadline. The flooding update, the Stony Kirk ramp was repaired for the 4th time this year. We need to have a better long-term solution there, but that's going to be for the future. The London landing ramp is going to require some bank stabilization, and we're losing some stream bank adjacent to the pavilion, and that's going to have to be put back and shored up in the long term. At the dog park, as was mentioned earlier, we're going back and forth between small dog day and large dog day, sharing Wednesdays. I haven't gotten any complaints about that. I think people are pretty understanding considering what we're dealing with down there. And in our fisheries and lake ecology department, we continue to do our fall sampling. And believe it or not, with all the flooding, we still have blue catfish in our golf course ponds. So
Wow.
They're not feeding very well with the weather, but they're still there. And that's it.
Okay, thanks Rick and John for your reports, appreciate it. So now we'll go right over to Joan.
Some updates from Recreation. This past Saturday, we had the Christmas Bazaar at Reardon Hall. Kathy organized a great sellout event, and I hear that even Tom promoted it to some of your newcomers, and a couple of them came over there, and at least one of them went directly to the bar. So, so we've got something for everybody there, but Kathy did a great job with that. We sold out that event, and it was a beautiful day, so there were lots of shoppers out. There are a couple more free events coming up at Reardon. This weekend there is a veterans concert tribute, if you will. The NWA Jazz Band will be playing, and that's a free concert. And then on December 7th, the same band, they play big band, and they'll be playing holiday music. They'll be offering a free dance at Reardon Hall on Saturday evening from 7 to 10. And those dances aren't usually free, so that is a nice thing that they're offering as well. Just a reminder about the recreation weather policy. Yes, it's November, and we're already dealing with it today. We follow Bentonville schools in terms of if they cancel classes or if they cancel after-school activities, then we follow suit and cancel our recreational classes. So for instance, tonight, we don't have any classes running. So it's just easier to have that carte blanche, and everybody has kind of learned that over the years. We also do posting out on Facebook, and we do post on 4029 and KNWA. Certainly if we have to close the facilities early or whatnot, we will do that, and that's in conjunction with what we do here at the POA. Regarding some of the other events that the weather has impacted, the trails, not only Tanya Creek, but all the trails have taken some hits. Trey is actively out on the trails along with some of our contractors and getting to some things very quickly. But other things will be things that will have to be repaired, such as bridges and large ruts. If it's tree damage and quick repairs, we're getting to them pretty fast, but the weather has taken a bit of an impact as well. One of the other things that I want to mention that Trey spearheaded this weekend in honor of some wounded warriors, there was a group that came down for fishing, and some local members took them out in their own craft to fish out on the lake over the weekend. They stayed in the area, and Trey was part of that too. And so we know that we served some veterans who were part of the Wounded Warrior group. So
Very good.
that's about it for us.
Okay, thank you for that. And now we have the marketing from Judy.
Yeah, we're busy. The Inside magazine is ready to get shipped to the printer, so we're full, and it's going to be a good one. So we're getting every publication. We have a larger mailing list, and more and more people that are with, in particular, one ad that they've renewed their contract, and it's an antique store from Prairie Grove, no less. So she gets lots of activity off of that ad. So it just, kind of tells us that we can go pretty far and wide as far as our distribution, and that helps us in a lot of ways. The other thing is, as far as the new member, I did get some data from people. So a couple from Texas, they found us on the Kiplinger's report. And I tried to research where that is, but I think you have to be a subscriber. But we were rated very high, he said, on that report, so that was cool. A guy from Michigan, an internet search for retirement spots, Louisiana. They were here for a bike event and moved for the trails, which we've heard a lot. A couple from Colorado were here to see Crystal Bridges and drove through and liked the area and decided to move. California, the best place to retire searches, so they saw all the different postings, and then another from Texas from the Forbes listing. So, definitely the national, coverage is helping us. And I think from what I kind of looked at, it was, again, about maybe 60-40 mix of retired and then folks that were coming in. And would you say that I was trying to kind of gauge it, but I think that was, and a lot of the folks that I talked to that were still of working age were here from Tyson is bringing folks in, and then of course Walmart. So yeah, so that's all really we have in marketing.
Plus the health industry. A couple of the people I had lunch with were with the health, with Mercy, and so anyway.
Okay. It's a place to be. It is. One thing I'd like to circle back on is the templates that Gary sent out for the amenity reports. And I forgot to pass out a couple of them that were done, but we should have all received them by email from Gary. And I did use it, and it's a really nice template for reporting on our amenities here. So let's continue to use these and get them to Gary in advance of our meeting here, and they'll be published when we have official meeting notes. So Gary did a nice job on that, thanks to him. And at this point here, I suppose we could ask if there's any new business or any new topics that folks need to put on the table. Yes, sir? That's good news. Thank you for sharing that. I know a lot of folks will be very happy when if it comes to fruition. Thank you. Okay, no other matters then? If not, could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Motion. A second? Second. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.